I think the honorable member also who did, yes.
Persons with Disabilities Bill HB 2 2023.
Pesa nyaya dzenyu kana zisingaperi endai panze. I have to inform the House that the first diplomatic training workshop will be held at the Blawayo Rainbow Hotel from the 15th.
Migwagwa yedu. Mushure mekugadzirwa kwemigwagwa yedu zvakanaka, tine dzimwe nzvimbo dzaane mukurumbira wekuzikanwa netsaona dzatora upenyu hwevanhu vazhinji munyika yeZimbabwe. Tine nzvimbo yekuhwedza kwakaparara muri imwe chete kune vanhu vanosvika vanomwe vakaparara ipapo. Tine imwe nzvimbo zvekare yaita mukurumbira wetsaona munzira inonzi Blue Road, panzvimbo inonzi kuwadzana 710 off, kuwadzana extension 10 off, nekumberi woti chinosvika kuna Nachegutu. Saka tanga tichikumbirawo kuti hurumende ipindire kuburikidza nevana mazvikokota engineers kuti vavandudze nzvimbo idzodzi kuburikidza nekuisa ma-speed humps pamwe chete nekuisa ma-carriageways. Ndatenda Mr. Speaker, sir.
The Minister of Transport is coming up with some measures to ensure that our drivers behave on our roads. But I'm sure the point is taken. Thank you. Inozi chi point of national interest muchiwana. Pabate ibapo. Ndakataura imba huru iyi kuti vedwe tibatsirei kuchengetedza rurimi rwamai. Ndisi vatungamiri kana vanhu vakateerera iko zvino vari kukuonai muchitaura, musasanganise chivanhu nechirungu. Kuvira nhasi narini. Chiezai tione.
I may use English instead of Shona. Thank you. So I'm rising to give a point of national interest pertaining the issue of demolitions that has been happening in Harare and some parts of the country. Mr. Speaker, say my issue is being motivated by Justice Uchena's commission on issues of land that was done in that was appointed in February 2018. Mr. Speaker, say we have seen a lot of people losing wealth. We have seen a lot of disheartening things happening when people get their houses demolished. And the Commission's recommendations, Mr. Speaker, I think were so helpful to help us deal with this problem, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, one of the recommendations that was made by the Commission was to suspend the allocation of land or housing stands on unserviced stands. The other recommendation was to also investigate all officers that are involved in parceling and regularizing these spaces. The other important recommendation that was made, Mr. Speaker, was to introduce specialized land courts to deal with land disputes and land barons. The reason why I'm rising to give this point of national interest, Mr. Speaker, is that we are seeing people building houses that should not, on pieces of land that should not be built houses, or that would have been acquired through means that are not legal. And we have got enforcement agencies which are there, which are supposed to be monitoring all these activities. They are casting blind eyes to these developments, but they would then come when people would have finished to build and they demolish. Imagine the loss that we are getting into as a country, Mr. Speaker. Say we are experiencing energy issues. People buy raw materials to build their houses, and the next thing they are demolished. My prayer, Mr. Speaker, is to say, can we come up with a mechanism, or can we come up with a sort of a short-term solution to this, so that the people who should be taking action before people complete building on those pieces of land, if they are not going to do their job, they must also be accountable, Mr. Speaker. We cannot have a situation whereby these land barons, they go, they bribe those who are in charge of development control, they go and bribe police officers so that they don't get arrested. But at the end of the day, Mr. Speaker, it is an innocent person who is a home seeker, who end up being disadvantaged. And these people, they are roaming scot-free and nothing is happening to them. So I'm thinking, can we come up with a holistic solution to this problem? And if possible, Mr. Speaker, can this report be published or be made public? Because up to this day, it has not been made public. And if it could be made public, Mr. Speaker, it is going to help the members of the public to understand, because it detailed the land barons, it detailed the pieces of land which were acquired illegally. And if it is to be made public, Mr. Speaker, it is also going to help home seekers to understand or to know which areas they should not go and build their houses on. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Just a moment. I'll give you the floor, Honorable Minister.
It's actually the municipality of Harare that demolished without a court order. I checked whether there was a court order, so is the municipality. All the issues that they are raising are also subject to the Commission of Inquiry investigations. Everything that the Honorable Member has said falls squarely into the hands of the city authorities. They are the ones that have been allowing the buildings to be built. They are the ones that have demolished. You can go and check. They demolished without even a court order. And we have requested that that be investigated. And I agree with him. Why wait until a house has been built and then you send bulldozers to destroy sites? Some of the houses were beautiful structures, and it's not even fair to those people. So I believe it's a point of national interest, but it's a point that our local authorities, largely controlled by the opposition, must also have a humane face and be able to articulate some of these issues from a human rights perspective. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thought I
point of clarity.
Thank you.
Point of clarity on the point that Honorable Chigumu.
No, what is your point of clarity? Ask a question.
We don't want
Ask a question so that the Honorable Minister can clarify.
What were the recommendations of the Justice, the commission, of the Land Commission, which was mentioned by Honorable Chigumu? Because those recommendations were not implemented. So the Honorable Member was saying, let's implement the recommendations of that commission, because the commission has highlighted the problems and the causes of the problems in the country, and it has identified the people who are stealing land in this country, the people who are dishing out land.
You are now debating, you are not. It is the responsibility of the urban councils. Order, not when I'm speaking, you can't object. The law is there. And the law gives the local or municipal councils authority to ensure that any development taking place within the local authority is in terms of their master plan and physical planning. And it is they that must enforce the Justice Commission's report. Perhaps more importantly, members of parliament should own the driving seat advising people, before you build, can you make sure that that land is under the authority of the council before you waste your money? So be the advocates of giving the information before you start digging or even paying for that piece of land. Find out under whose authority that land is. So be the apostles of advising the public. It's our responsibility.
Still, what you have said and what the minister has said does not invalidate his point of national interest. Despite the fact that he's from the opposition, there is a...
Order, Honorable Wende, we are not talking about opposition politics here. Please sit down. Please sit down.
No.
Please sit down.
I withdraw that time to mention opposition.
Can you sit down?
But you
Can you sit down? It could be Triple C in charge of that city council. Tomorrow it will be another party.
Yeah, but Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir. I don't know if you can indulge me, Mr. Speaker, sir.
I beg your pardon?
I wanted your indulgement and take advantage
of the President with one or more foreign states of governments or international organizations shall be subject to approval by Parliament. And whereas the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs of the Republic of Zimbabwe and the Minister of Justice for the Russian Federation signed an agreement on cooperation on the 28th of June 2024 at the St. Petersburg International Legal Forum, held in St. Petersburg, Russia, and whereas the Republic of Zimbabwe is desirous of ratifying the aforesaid agreement, and whereas in terms of Article 12 of the agreement, the entry into force of the aforesaid agreement shall be on the date of signature, or if not signed simultaneously, on the date of last signature of all constitutional and internal processes having been completed. Now, therefore, in terms of Section 327, subsection 2A of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, this House resolves that the aforesaid agreement be and is hereby approved for ratification. I so submit, Mr. Speaker. Sir.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Do you have another notice of warning while you are still upstanding?
I rise to give notice that tomorrow I will move a motion that whereas subsection 3 of section 327 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe provides that an agreement which is not an international treaty but which has been concluded or executed by the President or under the President's authority with one or more foreign organizations or entities and imposes fiscal obligations on Zimbabwe does not bind Zimbabwe until it has been approved by Parliament. And whereas the loan agreement between the government of Zimbabwe and the OPEC Fund for International Development, OFID, for Horticulture Enterprise Enhancement Project, HEAP, concluded on the 7th of May 2023 with the following terms. The loan amount, 15 million United States dollars. Purpose of the loan, to finance horticultural production and sales by smallholder farmers and micro, small and medium enterprises, MSMEs, engaged in horticulture value chains. The project shall benefit poor smallholder farmers who will be organized in agricultural producer groups, APGs, in village horticulture gardens, VHGs, and agriculture producer groups in 4Ps linked to anchor firms. The project will be located in 4 provinces: Matabeleland South, Masvingo, Midlands, and Manicaland, for the village horticulture gardens, VHGs, and for the 4Ps, the project will be located in well-functioning irrigation schemes throughout the 10 provinces of the country, in particular in the high-potential regions of Mashonaland provinces and Manicaland province. Agriculture is one of the economic pillars in Zimbabwe, and the support for horticulture farming will go a long way in achieving the thrust of the National Development Strategy 1 of food security. The implementation of the project will result in the following benefits: employment creation for the local communities, capacity building for the local communities, climate smart agriculture and easy market access, improved food nutrition and security, increased household incomes, improved resilience to climate change effects and economic shocks, and increased production and productivity. Conditions precedent: loan ratification by Parliament. Interest: the interest of the loan is 1% per annum on amounts withdrawn and outstanding, a commitment fee of 0.5%. The tenure: 20 years, grace period 5 years, repayment modalities: repayment of principal and interest shall be made from the national budget. Now, therefore, in terms of Section 327, subsection 3 of the Constitution, this House resolves that the aforesaid agreement be and is hereby approved. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Any further notice of motion? Honorable Pijo.
On Tuesday, 21st November 2024, I'll move that this House, mindful that Zimbabwe is endowed with a variety of plants with medicinal properties, hence the need to protect them from exploitation, aware of the ever-increasing demand for these herbal resources domestically and internationally, also aware that our indigenous heritage and valuable medicinal knowledge are under threat of extinction, a situation which compromises the authenticity and the efficacy on traditional remedies. Now, therefore, calls upon the Ministry of Environment, Climate and Wildlife, number one, to come up with legislation to protect indigenous herbal trees, especially those with medicinal properties. 2, designate specific areas as herbal conservation zones and promote sustainable harvesting of such trees as a way of minimizing environmental impact and ensuring long-term viability of herbal trees and plants. Thirdly, encourage cultivation of herbal trees to meet the soaring demand while reducing pressure on the natural ecosystems. Fourth, preserve traditional knowledge on herbal remedies through intellectual property rights mechanisms. And finally, educate the public about the importance of preserving Zimbabwe's herbal heritage and the repercussions of unsustainable exploitation. I so move, Mr. Speaker, say thank you and sorry for that mishap.
Therefore, I see establishing the commission will address challenges that were not able to be addressed by the ineffective Disability Board as well as the Department of Disability Affairs. And this is very open for anyone to see. Mr. Speaker, say, the commission should be composed by a majority of persons with disabilities with relevant qualifications, with the CEO also being a person with disability, with a disability. Why do I say so, Mr. Speaker? Say, persons with disabilities have their own motto, which says, "Nothing for us without us." It's very clear that they are tired of being represented, and nothing has been changing since then. They want self-representation, just like what you and women are doing out there. Furthermore, let us not underestimate persons with disabilities. They are now educated and they have qualifications, and if you have happened to watch the graduation ceremony done at the University of Zimbabwe on the 13th of September this year, you would have seen how a number of persons of disability, the number of persons with disabilities were kept. This shows they are now capable to hold high offices of decision making and likewise should not be left out. Mr. Speaker, say, persons with disabilities should enjoy services within the country like any other citizen, be it usable transport, health, access to infrastructure, employment, and empowerment. This bill is a step to give them fishing rods instead of the fish. Imagine this constituency is only happy on Christmas days when well-wishers bring them food and all sorts of gifts. But how many days goes a year? How many days does a year have? In all other days, where there are no donations and gifts, how do we think they will be living? Let's embrace inclusivity and give these people what is due to them through enacting laws that will uplift their day-to-day lives like this bill. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
To this important progressive bill that was brought in by Honorable Minister of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare. The bill reflects a human rights-based approach to disability. Indeed, it's a crucial step towards ensuring the full inclusion, protection, and empowerment of persons with disabilities. My points of debate are informed by A, the National Disability Policy, that is 2021, B, 17 Sustainable Development Goals, C, NDS1 Policy Document of 2020, D, Constitution of Zimbabwe 2013. Mr. Speaker, according to Zimbabwe 2022 Population and Housing Census report, the prevalence of disability was estimated to be 9.5%. Hence, people with disabilities are a significant portion of the total population. Passing this bill dovetails well with government policy of leaving no one behind. It is relevant to say this bill is in sync with the National Disability Policy because it is noted that the mandate of overseeing the National Disability Agenda cannot be left to a single ministry but needs a whole government approach. It reiterated on having a focal unit or a focal point in all government ministries and agencies. Mr. Speaker, before the release of the National Disability Policy document, the President said, and I quote, "Yes, the National Disability Policy outlines the goals that the government hopes to achieve with regards to disability inclusion and the methods and principles that it will use to achieve such goals. The policy also goes a step further to inform the ongoing process of repealing the outdated Disability Persons Act, Chapter 17, I unquote. Here we are, repealing has to be done right on track with the Persons with Disabilities Bill. Honorable Speaker, it is my humble submission that disability is a cross-cutting, multi-dimensional, and multi-layered issue, and I do hereby support in total the creation or the establishment of a commission for persons with disabilities. Commissioners of the great people with disabilities must work 24/7 to ensure that the database is updated regularly and all its members will get some disability benefits. Obviously, that must include monthly payouts. Honorable Speaker, the status of the composition. It must be noted that from the public hearings, people were very clear that they want an independent commission. We are the lawmakers, Honorable Speaker, who represent these people. Let's amend the Constitution if it means so as to make them happy. Composition of the commission, Honorable Speaker, we are making a law for people with disabilities. This is the bill for them. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, 70% commissioners must be them and leave only 30% for the rest. In the same vein, Honorable Speaker, the chief executive officer must be chosen from people with disabilities, not to say a parent of a child with a disability. Honorable Speaker, in terms of provincial representation, some provinces sometimes are left behind when commissions are established. Zimbabwe has 10 provinces, namely Harare, Bulawayo, Midlands, Masvingo, Manicaland, Matabeleland South, Matabeleland North, Mashonaland East, Mashonaland West, and Mashonaland Central. Let me repeat again, Honorable Speaker. Each province must be represented so as to conform to the spirit of leaving, this time around, no place behind. Gender balance, Honorable Speaker.
A, 2023 be now read a third time. Those who have that opinion will say aye. Aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed, and the clerk will read the bill a third time.
Death penalty 2023.
Thank you.